I'm cold just looking at all of that ice and snow. But isn't it beautiful that we're talking about the season of light, when it's the darkest time of year? So the Father very gently said, oh, I guess I got it mixed up here. Wait a minute. Got my jokes mixed up. Page 1 was page 2. It was a family circus cartoon, and the little girl was telling her baby brother on her lap about the Christmas story. This is the exact same one, but anyway. According to her version, Jesus was born just in time for Christmas, up at the North Pole, surrounded by 8 tiny reindeer, and the Virgin Mary, of course. Then Santa Claus showed up with lots of toys and stuff and some swaddling clothes. The 3 wise men and elves all sang carols while the little drummer boy and Scrooge helped Joseph trim the tree. In the meantime, Frosty the snowman saw the star. Oh gosh. You know, if you try to bring in all that mess, that's what it sounds like. That's what it seems like. And you know, it's okay to love all of it. We don't have to judge. Last week we were talking about maybe releasing some of the activities that are traditional for us at Christmas because it can get too stressful. But that doesn't mean that we can't, in our times of sitting back and relaxing, enjoy the 8 tiny reindeer and Rudolph the Red-Nosed. So Lou was a barber, and one year shortly before Christmas, he was cutting the hair of a little boy while the boy's father waited. And the boy was fascinated by the Christmas tree in the barber shop window, all adorned with lights and decorations. He turned to his father and asked, "Daddy, why can't we have a Christmas tree in our house?" The father very gently said, "Well, son, Jewish houses don't have Christmas trees." And the little boy thought for a moment, and then he said with a frown on his face, "Daddy, why did we have to buy a Jewish house?" I love that. I just, and this of course is cute too. Joy to the world, the Lord has come. I'm going to start singing that because I love gum. I've always got gum. Yeah, I love this mingling of all the different traditions. In fact, we were talking this morning before you all came about the fact that Hanukkah begins tomorrow, which means that they start, actually begins at sundown today, so they start lighting the menorah, the candles on the menorah tonight. So, and then next Sunday, on the following day, Kwanzaa begins. And of course we have the winter solstice this week, the 21st, I believe it is. Yes, Mike knows those things. And so all of these celebrations all celebrate with light, with candles, with all kinds of different light to, one, bring light to this darkest time of year, but also as a reminder. I see the light, all of the different lights that we use as symbols for the light that is within us. And we were reading the other morning in our morning reading time about the importance of being able to see that, we call it the Christ within, that presence, that divine presence within us, that truly it was Jesus who came to that awakening, that enlightenment, that awareness that there is divinity within us, and then he lived that way. And then he told us that we also were the light of the world and that we should let our light shine. And so I'm wondering, though, and I shared this a little bit in the meditation this morning, when we look out into the world and we see people not behaving in that way, in the way of, they're divine beings, how am I supposed to see that in everybody when they're not behaving right? And I realized that, it's because they're forgetting. And when do you forget? Do you ever forget? I know I forget. And so then it becomes about having compassion for the forgetfulness. And I've noticed that I'm forgetful a lot. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you're all sitting here with your coats and your sweaters still on. Because I forgot that we could have left the heat on last night so that you could be nice and toasty this morning. I've noticed something about our practice in unity of affirming what it is that we want to experience to a greater degree in our lives. And I know Barry used to give the example of when you say, I want to be a greater expression of love. I want to learn how to love. The universe is not going to send you Mother Teresa. The universe is going to send you everything unlike love, so that you have the opportunity to practice. It's not a magical thing where you say, universe, I want to be more loving, and then you get the little, like fairy dust, twinkle, twinkle, there you are. No, the universe says, okay, here you go. Here's an opportunity for you to practice that muscle, to get to that space where you want to be in terms of your ability to be a greater expression of the love that you are. And so we could say the same thing about joy, couldn't we? Because that is that this week is the Advent theme, joy. And some folks are really celebrating this time of year. Some people are right in that spirit. And then there are the rest of us who are like, okay, when is it going to be over? Yeah. So this time of year may feel very special to some people, and then for some it's so hard to get through this season because, in fact, I have a little quote here that I think I kept in from W.C. Fields. What do you think about when you think of W.C. Fields? I think of a cantankerous old dude. And I also think he didn't like children. Is that what you remember too? Anyway, so he was having a casual conversation with his nephew, William Fowler, and this is what he said. I'm going to tell you why I don't like Christmas and other holidays. It's because those days bring up a thing called loneliness. As an actor on the road, I would find myself all alone on days when everyone else had friends and companionship. It's not so good to be in Australia or in Scotland or in South Africa and all alone on a Christmas day and to see and hear a lot of happy strangers. So So we all have our moments of loneliness, and we can be lonely in a crowd, right? So I just like for us to remember those who are alone during this season and those who do find it difficult, in all of our joy, and that shouldn't rob us of our joy, but in all of our joy, let us also hold a place in our hearts for those who aren't feeling it. I was in Walmart the other day, and there was a woman in there, and she had her 3 young boys with her. And I thought, that lady has her hands full. And I was thinking, this could go wrong, too. I mean, it could go, they were very rambunctious, I guess I should say. They had a lot of energy. And I remember what I was like with my brothers, the 3 of us, and, he's touching me, he's pushing me, and we'd be in the back of the car and on a long trip, and my parents would say, only so many times, be quiet and behave, until whack. And I remember one time I was in the way of that whack. That did not happen in our house, let me say. So that was unusual. And again, the only time we were on that long trip was this time of year. We were headed home to be with our grandparents, and there was a lot of stress with that drive, with the snow and ice, and then anyway, back to the woman in Walmart. I want to know her, because she not only wasn't stressing out about them and their behavior, she was enjoying them. So how many of you were able to do that with your kids in Walmart when they were, being the way that kids are? So Advent. Yeah, my challenge this season was that, we ordered these wonderful Unity Advent booklets. I always love the Unity Advent booklets, and ordered them. I think I was probably a little late ordering them, but then I kind of expected them to come within a few days. And when they didn't, I called Unity and I said, can you give me a tracking number? And so they gave me the tracking number, and on December 4th, those Advent booklets were like hovering around Las Vegas. Have you ever seen that? And then the 5th and the 6th and the 7th and the 8th, they're still there. So I called Unity and I said, can you just go ahead and send another order for us? So we've got a double order of the Advent booklets. That's why I was like, take them to your family, take them to your friends. They're back there, and they really are lovely. So, and just because we've missed some of those days doesn't mean you can't go back and enjoy them. So this time when so many of us, if we are alone, might tend to isolate. And so I like to always share and remind all of us that researchers have discovered that the healthiest people are the people who have strong social networks, have strong relationships. And so as hard as that may be to step out of our comfort zone at times, and I'm one of those people. I'm so glad we had a reading the other morning where there was a reference to, so many times there are great analogies that we can use, and one of the analogies that was being used was a flock of birds, or a flock of geese, and how, when they're flying south, that the lead goose doesn't stay in the lead. He will drop back, or she will drop back, and someone else will take over, and that there will, even at times, one is, if it's getting too tired, will rest, will go off and rest, but not alone, not alone. And so I couldn't help but think of my mom and Barry. We were there, together doing our thing, and thinking of you as my flock. And you're my flock too, and I'm part of your flock. There was a group of people who were stranded and drifting on a raft off of the coast of Brazil. And they were perishing from thirst because, they knew that the water beneath them was seawater and that they couldn't drink that. Little did they know that there actually was a river that was flowing into that space where they were, and that there was actually fresh water beneath them. That does happen at times. And so how can that be an analogy for you in your life, for me in my life? We have been studying a lot about abundance and prosperity, not with a need or desire to have more things, but to be in that consciousness of knowing that there is always enough, that there's always more than enough, and that indeed there's not something that I have to do to make that happen. That my only role is the awareness that that abundance is God, and that God is within me. So I want to share with you, how many of you are familiar with the Hickses? Abraham Hicks. Okay. So this is what they say about getting your light shining. This is the recipe for eternal joy from Esther and Jerry Hicks and the teachings of Abraham. 1, seek joy first and foremost. And let me just, a side thing there, that I've recognized that for me, the first phase of moving into joy is gratitude. And so when I'm walking the dog, for instance, on any given morning, and my mind starts to go into that, do you ever have that repetitive negative? Like, oh, I guess I got to do this and got to do that, and that's not working, and this should be, it shouldn't be that way, or that person shouldn't do that. And I realize I am squashing my own joy, and that I can choose in that moment to be amazingly grateful for, 1, abundant sunshine. We have it, do we not? And boy, I tell you, I think a lot about it in the winter time, how much, because I think I'm one of those people who gets like that seasonal affective stuff going on. If there's too much lack of sunshine, I start getting sad and depressed. So where was I? Okay. So number 2 of getting your light shining. I'm going to have to just take a break and cough a minute.
Yes, there's your empathy. Thank you. So,
and I know you wanted to know this, it's post-nasal drip. And it's something that happens to me in the middle of the night. And the dog doesn't like it when I cough. So he leaves me in bed. I'm like, this is a 3-dog night and you're going to leave me? Oh, jeez. Okay, so number 2, seek reasons to laugh. 3, seek reasons to offer words of praise to yourself and others. Number 4, seek beauty in nature, animals, and other humans. Number 5, seek reasons to love. In every segment of every day, look for something that brings forth within you a feeling of love. Number 6, seek that which uplifts you. I get a kick out of Lillian, your Facebook posts. She's got a roommate who loves to cook, and I just, like you're talking about, he's making something with peanut butter and chocolate chips, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can taste that. Oh. Yeah. Well, it was uplifting for me, even just hearing about it. Number 8, seek a feeling of well-being. And for myself, I can facilitate that by saying, all is well. And I like to know and affirm and to share with you and remind you that it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside, that truly all is well. Number 9, know that your value can only be measured in terms of joy. Wow. And finally, the last one and my favorite, acknowledge your absolute freedom to do any of these or to not do these things. For it is, without exception, your choice in every moment of every day. So I think I will close this morning with a story about, again, another parent and their child during the stressful season. Christmas time was feeling stressful, however, in the Stevens home, Dan was in charge of bath time for the children. He had Joey all dried off and in his pajamas. Danny was still in the tub. And Susie was dancing in circles around the bathroom, still wet, singing, I got the joy, 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 joy. Down, come on. Down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the joy, 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 down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. But Dan, her father, had this feeling of pressure building as he was trying to corral Susie. Come on, Susie, hurry now. So Susie began to dance faster. No, Susie, that's not what I meant. Stop with the dancing and get over here so I can dry you off. Hurry. Susie stopped, looked at her dad and said, but why? Dan thought for a moment. He suddenly realized he had no good answer. He wondered why he was in a hurry. He had nowhere to go, nothing to do, no meetings to attend. He was just so used to hurrying, so preoccupied with his own agenda. Oh my gosh. So trapped in this rut of moving from one task to another. Can you relate? Here was life. Here was joy. Here was an invitation to the dance right in front of him, and he was missing it. And so he got up, and he and Susie did the dance together. Would you dance with me a moment? I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. I can go pretty low. I'm surprised how low I can go. Down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart to stay. Boom. All right, so it is. Love you all. Merry Christmas. Oh, we'll see you next week for Christmas. Yeah. She's back. Meditation. So let us, as we relax for a moment and close our eyes if that's comfortable, maybe take a few deep breaths, whatever allows you to relax deeper, to get in touch with the light within, to get in touch with the joy. And if you have difficulty with that, remembering that it starts with gratitude. And of course, there is always, always something to be grateful for. I am grateful to be here with you this morning, to have this opportunity to share together. I am grateful for the wisdom of the universe, the wisdom of all that is. I am grateful for the knowing that indeed all is truly well. And in those feelings expressed of gratitude, I feel lighter. In the season of light, even though it's darker, we choose the light. We choose to see the light in others even when they're not letting it shine. Because we know that is forgetfulness, and we know what it feels like to forget. And then with that sense of compassion, we recognize those are really powers that we have. They're divine powers, and we're going to be revisiting them next Sunday on Christmas Day. The power of love and the power of wisdom is compassion. And I am a compassionate being. You are a compassionate being, a being of light aligned with all those other beings of light, aligned with the one light. So as we imagine imagine that light within us. Can you see the light maybe at your solar plexus, maybe in the heart center, maybe right